Program. I know Jamie Caldwell, coming from Carolina, is going to do a great job at Liberty. Great scheme.
John, who is Jamie Caldwell?
I have no idea, Richie. Who is Jamie Caldwell and where is Carolina?
I have no idea which Carolina he's talking about, but I do know that it is indeed game week, and you are joining us live for the Sea of Red Liberty Football Podcast. I am Richie Longshots, and I am joined by the man that there's no one else I'd rather talk Liberty Football, Conference USA, and Bowling Green with than the Sea of Red founder and owner, and that is my co-host, John Manson. John Manson, it's game week. How we feeling?
Man, it's game week. Can't be any better. How you doing, Richie? You making the trek down to Virginia too, huh?
I'm making the trek down. It is going to be my first home game since homecoming 2016. So I'm over the moon. My Virginia Tech trip last year got canceled due to a little thing called COVID. But I'm ready to roll. I'm feeling great. The vibes are at an all-time high. And we had a little bit of tease last week. We watched some of our Conference USA foes play. And now it's our turn. We get a chance to jump into the table. We get a chance to play. And I know it's not a non-conference game. It is a non-conference game. But we get to face off with another Division I opponent. There's going to be football. And let's dive in. Let's look at Bowling Green. Not a team we hear a lot about, but let's jump in. John, give us a little bit of a breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, Bowling Green, a MAC team. They went to a bowl game last year, went 6-7. They played New Mexico State, who, Liberty will be seeing next week, right? And Liberty also saw the regular season finale of last season as well. So, and we also got to see New Mexico State in week 0. We'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, Bowling Green, 6-7 team. They beat Toledo, which is a team that we all know that Liberty lost to. So they've got some talent. You see there the FBI rank of 122 currently. They average 23.2 points per game. They're having a little bit of a quarterback battle. Connor Bazelak. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. That's not as bad as Caldwell or Chadwell, though.
Program.
But
I know,
I think
Jamie Caldwell, coming from
Chad's obsessed with that video. Just a heads up, everyone.
Get that played a few times tonight. But yeah, he's a transfer from Indiana, began his career at Missouri. I think he's thrown for over 3,000 passing yards in his college career. He's now at Bowling Green. I expect him to be the starter on Saturday. Former 4-star recruit. He's got some decent numbers. Touchdown interception ratio is not great. Completion percentage, not the best, but they've also got some skill guys. They got a running back by committee, a few wide receivers, a couple of them transfers that, look the part. So this is a team that Liberty, can't really be sleeping on, and we'll dive into them a little bit more as we keep on going.
No, I agree. I was very interested. I was reading up a little bit about their starting quarterback. He was co-offensive player of the year, his freshman offensive player of the year when he was at Missouri. So definitely going to be interesting. Again, you mentioned they are bringing back some key players. They had some struggles with the offensive line last year. Going to hopefully increase a little bit, but we have an offensive line of our own, and we are going to take this opportunity. We're going to bring in two friends of the program, Mr. 55, offensive lineman himself, and Jason Porter.
Brendan, Jason, what's up, guys? How you guys doing tonight?
Happy Tuesday.
Howdy.
So Brendan, it's game week. Unfortunately, we all know you won't be able to take the field with you guys, but you got named captain this week. Just take us through that process. What was it like to get that honor, and what's that mean to you here in your last season with the Flames?
Yeah, thank you for that. First off, it's Coach Chetwell talked to the guys, and he was saying, you have all conference and all independent and all those accolades as a person, but this is your legacy at Liberty, and being able to be a captain is the biggest honor you can have. And just having the trust in my teammates, and just being able to lead them and show them what their potential is and bring the best out of them it's a huge honor for my last season. I couldn't be more thankful for it.
Yeah, 55. Congratulations on that, man. That is a huge deal, huge honor to be recognized by your peers. And I think sometimes people forget that is kind of a peer teammate recognition thing. So to John's point, man, congratulations on that. Well deserved. I want to stay on your side of the ball here as we transition a little bit, talking about Bowling Green for just a second. One of the things that I was surprised to find out statistically that I'm sure you guys know about, Bowling Green was top 5 in sacks last year. And so as an offensive lineman, that's got to bring up your spidey senses a little bit. What have you guys been talking about in the film room and in preparation for them on Saturday?
Absolutely. As John and Richie mentioned, they only won 6 games, but they had a very productive defense, and specifically their box, a lot of TFLs, sacks. That definitely is something that you see and you're like, we gotta be serious about this. So they had a great DN last year, number 11. He's playing in the NFL now, so that'll help not having him. But they brought in transfers just like everyone else does, and they've been working through camp to scheme us up. So I think we have a great plan going forward, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And that matchup is going to be pretty much the deciding factor, in my opinion, the line of scrimmage. So a lot of unknowns on the outside. New guys on both squads. The line's going to be what determines this game, and our guys know that. They know that. It's Tuesday now, but we'll see what happens Saturday. That's what's going to matter.
Yeah, Brendan, you know better than any of us listening to this right now that it's always a line of scrimmage that kind of determines who wins a game more times than not, whether it's offensive line, defensive line. But as you look at this game coming up this week, and one of the more intriguing storylines for me, week 1 for Liberty, it's a lot of new faces, a lot of new names. We know, with the coaching staff and the rest of the turnover on the team, it's a lot of question marks, a lot of unknowns. What are some things that, not giving away any like inside, inside information or anything like that, but who are some names, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, maybe at receiver or running back, that maybe we're not expecting or don't know about yet that'll become household names here in a few weeks?
I just think of the new guys. We know a lot of the guarantees. CJ Daniels, Noah Frith. But you think of the new guys, that running back room is the most loaded room I've ever seen since I've been here. You're going to have 1 and 2 back sets. I think outside, you got EJ Smoot from UT Martin that's going to have a great season for us. At running back, I think all running backs are pretty much new. Vic Venn from Colorado, Quentin Cooley from Wake, Vaughn Blue, true freshman, came in. And he's been grinding. James from Arkansas, and they've been doing a great job. Billy Lucas and Duquesne, those guys run the rock, and they all have different. We've always been running back by committee since I've been here. It'll be the same thing. We got 5 guys that can tote that rock, and it's going to be fun to control the line of scrimmage and see what we can do. I know traditionally this offense isn't as fast-paced as before. So if we remember playing Army, how they kind of controlled the clock and just ran the ball and got 3 or 4 30 yards per play, it's going to probably be a little bit more of that than, running 6 plays in a minute. So it'll give us more time to see the defense and give the fans a little time to settle in. So it's going to be an awesome game. just excitement. Coach talks about nervousness versus anxiousness, and I think we're all a little both because there's so many unknowns, but I do know that those guys are going to run the ball hard. Those receivers are going to go up and get some big plays, and it's going to be a fun Saturday at Williams Stadium.
Brendan, I'm so glad you talked about the run game because Coach Chadwell last Thursday at the Flames Club luncheon was talking to us as Alan was interviewing him just about the offensive schemes and the sets. And he was talking about a lot of smoke and mirrors is the phrase that he kept using. But more importantly, for kind of us civilians on the outside, we see option plays and run plays and things like that. But the options specifically in and of itself, what does that mean to offensive linemen? Because, bro, you got to hustle is all there is to it, right? So take us through what that looks like for you guys as far as the movement and the pitch and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so for an option offense, there's a read man and a pitch man. So there's a downhill back who the quarterback's going to read, and if a certain guy comes in, then he pulls it, and he goes out, and there's a pitch guy where if he plays him, he pitches it off, and if he plays the other guy out there, he keeps it himself. So there's a lot of moving parts. It's a massive puzzle, but you'll see offensive linemen going out to corners, the safeties, linebackers, base blocks, sometimes leaving a guy run right up the middle because we're reading them. So it may look like a busted block, but it's supposed to be that way. We always joke in practice, we go the wrong direction, the defense thinks they're the read man, so they just stand there. They don't actually try to tackle the ball carrier. So it's going to be pretty funny, but there's a lot of moving parts, and it's going to be exciting.
Well, as always, the Live with 5-5 portion of this podcast is sponsored by RT Rogers. So glad to have them supporting us at the ASOR football podcast, as well as Brendan Schlittler here with us again. Third season, I think, Brendan. But tell us a little bit more about RT Rogers.
Yeah, so RT Rogers is ran by Greg Rogers out in southern West Virginia. He's a Liberty grad from a couple years ago. And they deliver to a bunch of states, surrounding states of West Virginia, all oil needs, including heating oil and propane. Set them up at rtrogersoil.com, and they'll get you right. I know they've have phenomenal customer service, and firsthand, been with Greg a few times. He takes his customers very seriously, and he is a great man to work with. So appreciate them for sure. And yeah, third season, awesome going into this with them.
Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, that's sorry, I was making a note on something. Well, Brandon, man, we just wish you best of luck. I know it's going to be a challenging first game here for you with all the stuff that you've been going through. But again, congratulations on the status of your captain selection, man. That's really huge.
Well, I'm excited to see how you do in the booth this weekend, Jason.
So am I.
Yeah, in case anybody listening hasn't heard the news, I'm sure you have. Jason gets the honor and privilege to co-host. Is it co-host? I guess you're doing the color analyst with the voice of the Flames, Alan York, for all the football games or just the home games. You're going to be traveling. Give us a little bit more detail about that.
Yeah, all the games, the whole thing. So I'll be on the road with the guys too, and just getting to be the wingman with AY. Man, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
You're working harder than I am Saturday.
So Brendan, you going to be on the sidelines with Coach Durkin, or what you going to be doing?
Yeah, so I'm going to be on the sideline. There's not much room in the booth, and it's a little crazy up there, but be on the sideline, be writing down all of his notes he needs me to. Probably going to calm him down a time or two. And, there's a couple young guys that are making their first start, so being able to walk them through that first game mentally, a lot of ups and downs, don't know how to handle it till it's their type of deal. So excited to help those guys out and make something shake on Saturday.
Now, if Vaughn Blue or Victor Vinn get on a breakaway around the side, down the sideline, are you going to be able to get out of the way quick enough?
We'll find out when it happens.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. We don't want to see that happen, right? But hey, Brendan, I appreciate you as always coming on, and look forward to seeing you on the sideline Saturday, and hopefully before the season's over, we can get you back out on the field. Absolutely,
I'm excited to see different perspective from the sideline, so I might have some better material for the podcast. So.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate you, man. So Jason, give me a little bit of information about closing costs. What do we need to know about that? Potential home buyers.
Yeah, interesting thing going on with closing costs. Reason I wanted to talk about that here real quick tonight. Anytime the market is balancing and teetering a little bit between buyers and sellers, and we're kind of about 50-50 there right now. It's still definitely more of a seller's market, I would say, but closing costs very quickly are the costs associated for the purchase of a house that are charged through the lender, the title company, all of those fees that sort of come into purchasing a house. What is unique right now about our situation that I want to make sure folks are aware of is because the market is slowing a little bit, there's greater opportunity now for buyers to ask for the sellers to pay their closing costs. So whereas the market a few years ago was so competitive, multiple bids, et cetera, as a buyer, you almost never had a chance to ask for closing cost assistance or help from the sellers. Things have changed a little bit. I've written the last couple of offers with seller assisted closing costs. We've been able to get some of those and negotiate them. So anyone has any questions about those, all my contact information is right there. But certainly in the buying and selling process with real estate, residential or commercial, love to help out Flames Nation.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate you joining us and your support. And for those of you that aren't at the game, or maybe if you're at the game, put your earbuds in and listen to Jason and AY call the action or paint the picture. Is that how they say it in the business?
That's it. That's it.
Thanks, Jason. See you, man.
Oh, well, I'm glad to be back. I'm sure everyone saw the little incident that the Notre Dame podcast host had, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't have one of those moments here with the Sea of Red. But big shout out to JP and 55. Great job. Very interested to see Brandon's kind of move towards being on the sidelines for some of the games this year. So excited to see that progress as the year goes on. If you are watching live, make sure whatever platform you're on, if it's Twitter, throw us a retweet, a like. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe. It helps us out a whole bunch. If you are listening to this at a later date, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Now, what we have coming up is probably one of the biggest guests that we are going to have the entire season. I have had the opportunity to meet this gentleman before, and what he has done for Liberty Athletics, I really can't say. But I just do know that he is the straw that stirs the drink when it comes to the Flames and everything that goes on with it. And we are welcome to be joined by Mr. Ian McCaw.
And great to be with you guys tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Hey. The pleasure is all ours.
Hey, Ian. Good to see you again.
Hey, John.
Hope we didn't keep you up too late.
Well, this is past my bedtime, but this is a special occasion, so I'm excited and honored to be with you guys.
Oh, and I mean, after a big field hockey win, the adrenaline's going, so you want to stay up a little bit. So totally get that. But it is game week. And first question, how excited are you for this 2023 football season in comparison to some of the others that we've had?
Yeah, this is a really special year. Obviously, a lot of things. Our first year in Conference USA, so that makes it very special. And the opportunity to play for a conference championship for the first time at the FBS level adds to that. And of course, the first year and the first game under Coach Chadwell. So a lot of unique aspects of this year, and that's one that we're really excited about, and I think our fans are excited about.
And Ian, looking back to last year, there was a lot of, anticipation and hype around some of the home dates on that schedule. You had, BYU and Virginia Tech and even UAB as a home game, and maybe don't have the same name brand recognition on some of the home schedule this year. But you got 7 home games, 4 of those being Conference USA games. So certainly a lot to look forward to. A couple of those on national TV. How have the season ticket sales been going? If you compared to last year and recent years.
Yeah, doing really well, John. So this will be the second highest season ticket total that we've ever had. Obviously, last year with Virginia Tech and BYU, that gave us an unusual bump, and we had a number of Virginia Tech fans that did not renew this year, which is understandable. But and we're going to be in the 7,000 range. We will sell season tickets through the New Mexico State game, so we still have another little over a week to go, but we'll be right around 7,000. And other than the last year, I think the highest total was around 5,500. So Flames Nation is growing, our season ticket base is growing, and we're really encouraged by that.
That's so awesome to hear that we can ride that momentum, and I obviously that number is only going to grow as we continue in Conference USA. But we have game day, week 1, our home opener, and everyone has their own traditions, their own superstitions when it comes to home games, whether you're watching at the stadium or you're watching at home. Do you have any superstitions? What is your game day kind of look like from the position of an athletic director?
Yeah, Richie. So I like to stop at all the pregame activities. So I'll go to the walk. I'll hit tailgate town. I'll go to the student tailgate. Usually visit with some Flames Club members at the pregame meal. Stop by the club. Stop by the suites, and then once we get into the game, as you know, I tend to do a few on-field presentations. And probably we always host some guests up in the AD suite. Again, visit with some other folks during the game, and then my tradition is fourth quarter. I go down on the field. I like to watch the last part of the game on the sidelines with the team, and then hopefully celebrate a big Flames win afterwards.
That sounds like fun. And I hope, Ian, pregame, you're able to squeeze in some time for the Flames Rising tailgate. We're sure to have a lot of people join. I can't leave out Richie. He'll be down for the first time. What'd you say, Richie? 2016. So anybody around, be sure to stop by our tailgate as well, too. But, Ian, the question I had for you is one thing that was in the news this past week with Conference USA was a grant of rights. That news got broken and out into the public, and I guess it was part of the new TV deal with ESPN and CBS Sports. How does that affect Liberty moving forward, and is it something that kind of helps stabilizes Conference USA, moving forward the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, John, that's well put. It really does demonstrate just solidarity among the 9 members, and obviously we'll add Kennesaw next year as a 10th member. But it was something that was important to the TV partners. They requested a grant of rights, and again, for us to get a good relationship with ESPN and CBS Sports. That really is a great credit to Conference USA. We saw what happened with the Pac-12 here recently, and they were not able to get a good deal with ESPN and or Fox, and ultimately it ended up really causing their conference to fracture. So we're really grateful for that, and again, the mutual commitment between the TV partners and the school is really important, and we're excited about this agreement.
It's a perfect lead into my question. I was always a big fan of the past few years of watching the MAC on Tuesday nights and the weeknight football games. And, what are your thoughts? How important is this TV exposure to helping grow Liberty as a nationwide brand?
Yeah, great question, Rich. Television is just critical in terms of revenue, exposure, recruiting. I mean, you have to have a good television deal to be successful in any of those areas. And again, we've been able to score a big win with ESPN and CBS Sports as our partners. And those midweek games just give you really unique exposure, because when you play on a Saturday, and we're going to play this Saturday, we're going to have a national TV broadcast, which is incredible, but you get washed out because there are 100 games going on. When you play a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, a Thursday night, even though they're non-traditional, you may be the only game on, or you may be one of 2 games on. And so whether people are out at a restaurant or whatever it may be, you're the game that people are watching. That's what they're paying attention to. And you get really unique, and for us, unprecedented exposure. So it's beyond anything Liberty's ever been able to realize to date. So we're in for some really exciting times with this television arrangement.
A neat wrinkle to that, I thought, was the week 0 games. I mean, we had 5 Conference USA teams playing this past weekend, 2 of those being league games, and I was sure to carve out some time on the couch and watch a couple of those games, and that was really fun and neat, and additional exposure for the league. Ian, as you kind of look forward, fans love to talk about non-conference schedules and what's next and who are the next teams that are going to be coming into Williams Stadium. Is there anything you can share on that? I mean, how close are some of these schedules to getting done? I know I don't think we've announced anything for 24, 25 or anything like that, but 24 through 27, are those pretty close to being finalized? Do you anticipate there being any announcements made as anytime soon, or maybe wait until after the 23 season?
Yeah, John, we're really in good shape right up to about 2030 at this point in time. So we've pretty much got them all in place. I really like our schedules. This year we had to scramble a little bit as we were transitioning from independent to Conference USA, and we weren't able to kind of hit the model that we want. The model that we want is 1 Power 5, 2 regional group of 5s, and an FCS. And we didn't get the Power 5 or the FCS. We got a series of a group of 5 home and homes, and fortunately 3 at home, 1 on the road. So, I think Coach Chadwell likes having 7 home games, and obviously that's really desirable when we can get it. But I like our schedules. Next year, obviously, we have 2 really attractive opponents, East Carolina and App State. Those will be good regional rivalries, kind of falling in line with what I mentioned about those group of 5 regional rivalries. We have series with Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina, App State, and East Carolina, as I mentioned, ODU, James Madison, Army. So those are good, attractive brands that our fans like. There'll be a good level of competition for us, and I think really balance out our schedule well with what we have in Conference USA.
Selfishly, I was hoping you were going to break some sort of major news, but I can completely understand why, not the time and place, but definitely excited for that coming up. So realignment is the hot button issue. If you listen to any college football podcast, they spend the first 20 minutes talking about realignment, but we did not last week. What are your thoughts on kind of realignment, especially at the P5 level, and how do you think this is going to change the landscape of college football in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, Reggie, honestly, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I don't love it. I don't think it makes sense for UCLA playing Rutgers to be a Big Ten game. That just doesn't feel right to me. And I think the travel issue is not in the best interest of student athlete welfare. So I really don't love what's happening. I understand why it's happening. It's being driven by television revenue, but I do think that there's definitely some casualties along the way here as this realignment unfolds. But I think once we get through this Pac-12 or Pac-4, whatever we're going to call them right now, realignment, I think once that settles, I think we'll enter a period of stability for 5 or 6 years until later in this decade. And at that point, some of the other TV deals will start to approach expiration, and there'll be another round of realignment. But I think the one thing we know is there'll be future realignment. And certainly I think the best thing that we can do is continue to have a successful athletic program and position ourselves well, because we are an upwardly mobile program. We are desirable at a higher level. We're well-resourced. We have amazing facilities, and I think our teams continue to perform really well. The future is incredibly bright for Liberty Athletics.
Well, Ian, thanks as always for joining us. One more question before we let you go. I kind of been paying attention to Liberty Athletics like always, and I know you follow it closer than anyone else around. But the teams are really off to a really strong start here in the fall, and I tweeted a little bit about it and was almost afraid to do that. I don't want to jinx anything because. I think what are we up to? Like 12-0 in all sports right now. Had a big win tonight for those of you watching live Tuesday evening. Field hockey going on the road, beating a top 10 Virginia team, and women's soccer, volleyball, men's soccer, all off to great starts. Field hockey, we kind of come to expect it a little bit here in the last couple of years. They made that run to the national title game, but what's one team that maybe is a little bit under the radar from your average Liberty fan that you think might surprise and turn some heads this athletic season?
Yeah, John, you're right. We're off to a 12-0 start, and President Costin's currently undefeated, so that's a good thing. I think the great thing about our athletic program right now is we're really strong across the board, literally in every sport. I mean, I cannot actually point to a program that I'm concerned about right now. That's a good place to be if you're an athletic director. So we've got 20 really good programs, and really grateful for our coaches and our staff, our student athletes to put us in that position. But if you're looking for a couple teams that might break through this year, that might be a little unexpected, I'd keep an eye on men's cross country. I think they're poised to have a really good year, and they're picked preseason to win the win Conference USA. I think they'll be able to compete for that. I think our women's lacrosse program has a chance to have a breakthrough year, and I think women's tennis has a chance to be pretty special. So those would be maybe 3 of the programs that haven't really maybe broken through the last few years that I think could take a big step forward. But again, the great thing about us is I think across the board, all 20 programs, we're going to be competing for championships, and that's, again, a great place to be.
That's awesome. We appreciate you once again, Ian, coming on, and anytime you're welcome to come on. We appreciate all you've done for Liberty Athletics, and as you always say, this is the golden era of Liberty Athletics. We've had a lot of success and wins, and that's a lot of fun for an alum and for being a Liberty fan. But thanks again, Ian, and we'll be sure to catch up with you on Saturday.
Sounds good. Thanks, John. Thanks, Richie.
Thank you.
Virginia's best and most flames-friendly coffee comes from Ironclad Coffee Roasters. Ironclad roasts and serves up their beautiful beans at 2 cafes in Richmond, where you can enjoy their craft roasted specialty beans from anywhere in the country by visiting www.ironcladcoffee.com. Place your order there, and it will be directly shipped to your doorstep. Whenever you find yourself in the capital of the Commonwealth, pay them a visit at one of their 2 cafes in the Richmond area. Ironclad's owners, the O'Rourke family, are proud Flames Club members and season ticket holders, and now they're pleased to sponsor the podcast from the CRA. Hop over to www.ironcladcoffee.com now to get your Virginia's best specialty coffee headed your way.
Truer words have never been spoken. I really believe that we are in the golden era of Liberty Athletics, and we'll never have that first bowl victory again. We'll never have that first March Madness victory again, and it's so exciting about the future. And we're so thankful that Mr. McCaw was able to join us tonight and touched on a lot of awesome things. But the first thing that we have that's going to be facing us before all that schedule talk in the future and all the realignment stuff is the game this Saturday. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but Bowling Green coming from Ohio in the MAC conference, as John mentioned earlier, they did not play week 0, but a team that had some struggles last year, but they had a big win over Toledo, John mentioned earlier, which was their first win against Toledo in 15 years. They ended the season kind of rolling a little bit. I was very interested to see how 5 of their wins last year came by less than a touchdown. So when you look at the team that has played a bunch of close games, all that stuff, what's going on, Chad?
Hey, guys.
Good to see you, Chad. So 5 wins by 7 points or less. So they've played a ton of close games, didn't go their way. So I don't think it is a team that Liberty is going to overlook. I don't think it's a team that we as fans should overlook. But John, what are anything deeper to go on top of what we talked about earlier?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that I think could be sneaky, and I wouldn't be shocked if they got to a second straight bowl game and 6 wins this season. They're a team that's picked kind of middle of the way in the MAC and their division of the MAC, and it's a lot of question marks that I have for them too. And I think Coach Chadwell and Brendan, in their media. Coach Chadwell earlier this week in his media obligations, and then Brendan tonight earlier in the podcast kind of alluded to that. We don't really know what to expect out of this team, and they've had a lot of turnover, and they'll have a new quarterback starting, and so we really don't know. There's a lot of question marks surrounding Bowling Green going into the game, but Liberty as a 9.5 to 10 point favorite. I don't know. That's a tough line to predict, and we'll talk about that more later. But it's a team that's scary, and especially for Liberty and their season opener under Coach Chadwell. We'll have to figure out. We'll learn a lot about Liberty, and I think Bowling Green as well. But Richie, one thing I wanted to chat about is I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of the Conference USA games week 0, and I'm sure you at least seen some scores and maybe some highlights. But were there any that maybe kind of stuck out to you? I mean, here if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the updated FPI rankings for the Conference USA. But what did you learn? Did we learn anything in week 0?
I was definitely surprised New Mexico State, ourselves, a few of our guests last week, we were singing Diego Pavia high praises, and, did not turn in his best performance. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, somewhere in the 50% range for a completion percentage. But I was surprised, New Mexico State losing to UMass, big game this week, some might say. But I was surprised kind of to see that. La Tech very odd game. I was, what did FIU threw the ball 4 times? They have 4 yards. Just
They had 4 yards.
That's some
And
sicko stuff right there.
They were winning most of the game. I mean, I think they went scoreless the last 2 quarters, the second half, but threw for 4 passing yards and probably should have won the game.
Yeah, I think it's going to show to the fact that Conference USA is going to be kind of reminiscent of the way the Pac-12 has been in years past, where they just kind of they eat their own. Where no team, it does not matter what that conference record is, it does not matter what your power index is. These games are going to be dogfights. They're going to be close games. You cannot take anything for granted. And it's exciting to see. One of the things you mentioned earlier, John, I wanted to bring up was the new offense and what is this going to look like? And we put out on Twitter, we said, hey, send in some voicemails. And we had about 10 to 15 people send videos, send voicemails in. It's great when I get the alert that someone sends it in. So yes, it is me. I'm one of the people that get them. Would it be possible to play one of those for us real quick, producer?
Yeah, my name is David, and I was just kind of interested in explaining how the offense is going to be different from Freeze and now with Chadwell, because I hear good things about it, but I'm just kind of interested of how that system will work differently. Thank you for taking my call.
It's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be different. I mentioned last week on the podcast how Hugh Freeze had done a lot with big arm quarterbacks. We saw what he did with Malik. We saw what he did at Ole Miss with Chad Kelly. Not a lot of stuff in the middle, short passes, that kind of thing. But I'm not the expert. I'm not the guy that's been at practice that has been studying the game tape. So I'm going to swing it over to Manson to give a little bit more detail about that.
Yeah, and Richie, that's pretty cool. And make sure everyone listening knows you can call into us and leave your comments, your questions, particularly after games as we get into it. We have a voicemail hotline. We'll play at least one of those every week, the best one. So I don't know if we have the number handy, but if so, we can share that with you here. But yeah, great question that we got here. And, I think, and Brendan kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, is we don't expect it to be a hurry up, fast paced offense that we saw under Coach Freeze the last few years. He was always talking about tempo, and wanting to get the team lined up and ready to go and firing on all cylinders. I don't think we'll see that. I think especially with a new quarterback starting, maybe a little bit of an unproven quarterback starting, whoever that may be, a lot of question marks and maybe new names, some unproven faces, some injured players at receiver, that a lot of question marks there. And the strength of the team, I think, is really going to be the offensive line and the running back room. So I think you're going to see a lot more, 3-4 yard, 5-yard runs. Coach Chadwell talked in his press conference this morning about, hoping to average close to 4 yards per carry. So I think we'll see a lot more of that. It's also a triple option base. So you're going to see, 2 running back sets a lot. That's why Liberty's got 4 or 5 running backs that are going to play most weeks. You'll see a lot of 2-back sets. You got the triple option, and this isn't your Georgia Tech triple option where you might pass it 3 times a game, or an Army or even a Navy triple option. It's one that, we saw what Grayson McCaw and Coastal did, the last few years running this offense. Is they're still very prolific, able to pass the ball up and down the field. So you're going to see a lot of that, a lot of play action motions. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's going to be a much different offense than what we've seen the last couple of years, right? But it should be fun. I'm looking forward to see it. It might take a few weeks. That's what I'm kind of cautioning people against. It might take a few weeks for us to kind of start hitting on all cylinders, but I'm excited to watch how it plays out.
I agree, and I think people hear triple option and they just assume Georgia Tech, they assume Service Academy, but whoever starts as QB1, we're going to throw the ball. Like, it is not like you mentioned, it's not that Army-Navy game where Army throws the ball and everyone goes crazy. It is going to be truly a triple option, which I'm excited about. You mentioned the running backs. My roommate from college has realized that I've been doing stuff like this, and he texted me and said, who are the good running backs? I said, we got like 5 of them. So he's it really is the truth that we're going to see a lot of 22 sets, 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, bunch formation, and grinded out games, which there were times where when you're up 7 and then you're airing it out. We saw what happened in Arkansas, and it's like just run the clock out a little bit, just run the clock out. So I'm excited to have that change of pace where it's not just points, but it's really going to be methodical. Is the term I keep thinking of. The offense is going to be very methodical. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has something to do on every play. Brandon was mentioning that earlier, that everyone has a role and a job to do when it comes to that.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. And also a lot of question marks on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Kendi Charles, a guy up front that we're familiar with and we know a lot about. I'm really looking forward to seeing how much growth he's made this offseason. He's a guy that's got NFL aspirations, NFL dreams, and I think if he's able to take a huge step, a big step this year as far as his production on the field, we could see him maybe making his way to the NFL a year from now. But he'll kind of anchor the defensive line. Got a lot of new faces. One name that I'm really looking forward to seeing how he performs, TJ Bush, true freshman. We've heard a lot about him. He was a guy that was committed to Coach Chadwell, defensive line coach and defensive coordinator Skylar McGee at Coastal. He committed and stayed with them through the coaching change. So he's obviously high on their radar, and he's going to start as a true freshman at defensive end, which you don't see that much. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes. Linebacker, I think that a lot of people have talked about that maybe possibly being a big weakness or big question mark. I don't see that. I see Tyron Dupree, Jerome Jolly are 2 guys that are going to kind of anchor that unit. And then you got some other guys, Chike Nwankwo, transfer from Abilene Christian, is very talented. Nick Day's another transfer that will provide some depth there. And I didn't even mention Akil Washington. We all know that name. So I think linebacker is going to be fine. They're going to be a strong group, got some depth. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how that unit kind of all the pieces fit together, and do they have enough depth? I think that's the biggest question on the defensive side of the ball.
Thank you so much, John, for that insight. If you just learned something, which I know I just did, make sure you like and subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, if you are watching on Twitter, throw a retweet and a like and a follow. But to follow up with that defensive piece, and I think this is going to be a really good first opportunity for our defense. Last year, Bowling Green struggled on the offensive line. They only averaged 3 yards per carry. So they didn't get a ton better bringing in players on the offensive line. So I'm looking forward to watching the defense. It's going to be a really good first opportunity for them to come in a game against potentially an opponent that isn't super strong up front, where we're bringing in some new guys, some new faces that are going to get a chance to ball out a little bit. So I'm expecting, I'm just going to say it, scoop and score. There's going to be a scoop 6 stuffed in the backfield. Take it to the house. I'm going to be going bananas in a cabana, and it's going to be a great game. So, John, any last thoughts about our game this upcoming weekend, about anything coming up with Liberty football, anything like that?
Yeah, I think the key is the explosive plays. I think Liberty's offense will be able to move the ball, will be able to put some points up on the board. I think the big question is the defense. I think we've got the size and the strength on that side of the ball to keep Bowling Green in check. But those explosive plays can be something that keeps them in the game and maybe even gives them an advantage, a leg up. If you're able to break off a 55-yard screen pass for a touchdown with one broken tackle, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, that hurts, right? That happens. You see that all over the field on a Saturday, all over your TV screens, whatever games you're watching. So that's one thing Liberty needs to keep in check, is to limit those explosive plays. If they do that, I feel good. I feel confident about this team being able to get out of Williams Stadium on Saturday afternoon at 1-0, because ultimately that's the goal, right? I don't care if it's 17-14 or 52-0. Get out of there 1-0, and let's figure it all out going into week 2.
I'm with you, John. And if you are confident, then I am confident. So thank you so much for that insight. Real quick, we heard Mr. McCaw talk about all the great things going on with Liberty Athletics. 12-0. And it might be 13-0 if you count the field hockey win today. So we're going to kick things over to our main man, Zeke, who's going to fill us in under 71 seconds about all the amazing things going on when it comes to Liberty Athletics. So, Zeke, take it away.
What's up, guys? It's Zach, and we're back with the Liberty Athletics recap, recapping all Liberty Athletics games from the previous week. Liberty women's soccer is 4-0. The Lady Flames stayed hot, defeating Tennessee Tech and UNC Wilmington, shutting out both teams to improve to 2-0 on the week. Liberty men's soccer followed suit, winning last night against Belmont Abbey, including an opening night win over St. Peter's, defeating the lads from Jersey on a last-second goal from Michael Hutt.
Kone stays onside with the right foot across and in the final minute.
Not sure you could ask for a better opening night win there. Pandemonium at Osborne. Liberty field hockey is 2-0 as the 14th ranked Flames open with a 2-0 win over Kent State and then followed that up Sunday, defeating Indiana 2-1 in overtime. Liberty volleyball also undefeated. The Lady Flames hosted the Liberty Invitational, defeating Bucknell, Gardner-Webb, and Stony Brook, winning 3-0 each time. We got a full slate of Liberty Athletics games coming up this week. On Tuesday, Liberty field hockey has a huge matchup, just 2 hours up 29 against 6th ranked UVA. Liberty women's soccer also has a Commonwealth matchup against Longwood on Thursday. That is also when the Black Knight Invitational begins for volleyball. That will go from Thursday through Saturday. Liberty volleyball looking to stay undefeated. On Friday, Liberty cross country opens their season in the eye-opener invite at UC Upstate. The Liberty men were picked to finish first in the Conference USA preseason poll, while the women were picked to finish second. Liberty men's soccer also has a game at UMBC in Maryland. On Sunday, men's soccer continues the road trip in Maryland as they will take on the Midshipmen of Navy. Women's soccer will face West Virginia at home, while field hockey will host American at home. And last but not least, Saturday, football is back on the mountain as Liberty hosts Bowling Green for the 2023 season opener. You probably didn't need to hear my prediction, but in case you did,
All right, we got a new face. We got some familiar faces. We are joined by the man, the myth, the legend. I don't want to introduce yourself. I can't even. Go ahead.
Are you talking about me or CT?
You.
Me? Oh, okay. In my mind, CT is a legend. So, Sam Stone, long-time listener, first-time caller. So thanks for having me. And John, CT, Richie, it's like the bowl game all over again. We're just missing a few great folks. Thanks for having me on. I haven't watched a single football game this year, so my picks are going to be don't use them for anything. So
good disclaimer. All right, CT, tell us what happened last week.
Yeah, let's talk about last week real quick. As you can see, I did not cash many tickets myself, and we're gonna want to turn that around. But first of all, John, you went 6-1, up 4.5 units on your picks. That's pretty impressive. Cannot lie.
Keep it up, and I'm coming for your job, CT.
Yeah, I mean, take it. If you're gonna go that big each week, please take it. I admire that. Richie and I, we struggled a little bit, 3 and 4 on the picks, but we'll say we're due for some positive regression. What do you think?
Fingers crossed. I'll take 4. I'll take 3 and 4 every week. Last year I went like 1 and 4. It was ugly. That's when I mentioned something about week 0 being like the Old Testament, and had even more people in my DMs complaining. But week 0, it doesn't really count. It kind of counts, but it doesn't count. It really is a choose your own adventure type thing. But yeah. I'll take 3 and 4. But I didn't realize we're dealing with a savant and Manson over here going 6-1.
Yeah, absolutely unreal. I mean, Even a squirrel, every squirrel can find a nut every once in a while. But
here we go.
That's probably more about me and Richie than John, if anything. So
here we go.
If you want to take a look at my picks, or Richie, go ahead.
I just want to say, in my defense, I physically bet Notre Dame minus 20.5, and I foolishly took the over on here. Huge mistake. I'm not making excuses, but I ended up winning money on the game. But carry on.
Yeah, I responded to you and I said disrespectful, but congrats. So glad you did make some money on that one. Honestly, though, I mean, just recapping those picks really quickly. It might sound a bit like denial or anything else, but anytime I have a Service Academy over two touchdowns as a dog, I'm taking that every single time. So it is what it is. USC over flew. That was super easy. And then Louisiana Tech. Oh, they upset me. Let's just go through this. I know you guys already talked about them a tiny bit, but let's just go through some of these stats. They outgained FIU 447 yards to 182. They had 28 first downs compared to FIU's 8. They had 38 minutes time of possession of 22, and they had 83 total plays compared to FIU's 44.
They're going to be our Iowa. I love it.
It's college football. That's why it's the best. But that led us to 1 and 2. That's going to happen from time to time, and ultimately, I'm okay with the reads. So we'll go ahead and just jump right on into this week's picks. The first one that I have for this week, I'm going Hawaii money line back on the island against Stanford. So I have that at plus 150. Actually, before the game against Vanderbilt, which they hung in there, and I did have that one in our picks. But the line was closer to around them as 10-point dogs or so, and then it's come soaring down because of the results of the Vandy game. I liked it even more then, but I'm still going to take it now. Whenever you have a team that plays in week 0, going into a week 1 game where against a team that they didn't play or that didn't play in week 0, it's always a good look. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's statistically pretty good to side with them. So I think Hawaii at home against a Stanford team that, even though they're Power 5, they're probably a bottom 5 team in the country as well. I'd like Hawaii's chances to go ahead and get their first win of the season under Timmy Chang. And then moving on to the next game, we have Fresno State at Purdue. I have the under 48.5 in this one. So Fresno State was for a while a powerhouse in the group of 5, especially with quarterback Jake Haener. He was unbelievable, but they lost him along with a few other guys. So they've lost total over 4,000 yards of offense. So they lost him, they lost their top running back, and they lost their top 4 receivers. And when you look at the games that Jake Haener was hurt at the beginning of last year as well, those games, they did not look good at all. So I think they're really going to struggle going against a Purdue defense that is really solid as well. Their head coach was the Illinois defensive coordinator, built them into a powerhouse. I also think their offense is going to struggle, while Fresno's was top 40 in the nation and returns 8 starters. So that being the case, I have the under 48.5 in that one. Richie, before I move on, I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on those two?
No, I got thoughts about Iowa though. So
okay, beautiful. Well, let me jump into this. So it's a scary play, but I'm going to take Iowa minus 25 at home against Utah State. My reasoning, at least, Utah State's offense was pretty terrible last season. I don't think much is going to change there. There's not too much different. If anything, they lost them at the portal. Meanwhile, Iowa's defense, we don't need to talk much about them. We know what they are, and they are legit. Utah State's their team total, which essentially, if you don't know what that is, it's what it sounds like. How many points they will score in a game. There's lines for that, and their line is 7.5 over under. So basically, it's will they score over a touchdown or not? And so that's what the line is for them, and that just shows Iowa's defense. Meanwhile, Iowa brings in Cade McNamara from Michigan. It's a revamped offense, and on top of it, their offensive coordinator has a clause in his contract where they need to average 25 points a game for him to have a job at the end of the season. So especially in games that are not Big Ten play, I expect them to be going for it all game and try to rack up as many points as possible for that average.
I hope we're sitting in a situation where it's late November and he's averaging like 24.2 a game, and things just get real weird out in Iowa. But I was going to bring up the same thing about Brian Ferentz. But I guess when you're the son of the head coach, you're able to get a bunch of passes. So
Absolutely. And that's not saying he's going to do a good job. He might just do awful and he gets fired and we lose this. But again, for a week 1 game, I'm going to go with that and hope that it works out. Moving on, we'll keep it going quick. Ohio State, I'm taking their team total over 44.5 at Indiana. If you look at a lot of their games last year, I mean, they were putting up 45 plus points pretty easily most of the games, outside of like a game against Georgia and Notre Dame, and a couple others there, but especially against the middling schools in the Big Ten. That is what Ohio State is made for. They're built very athletically, like more of like an SEC team. And against some of these weaker Big Ten teams, they just dominate across the field. So I think, I mean, just looking again, a couple early conference games for them last year, 52-21 versus Wisconsin, 49-10 versus Rutgers, 49-20 versus Michigan State. So I like Ohio State to put up some points here and hopefully score over 44.5. And then finally, we have our first teaser of the season. These are some of my favorite plays in college football, and essentially what it is, it's a parlay in a way where you have multiple teams, but you essentially get to buy down the points. So what I have is Utah -0.5 and Rutgers -0.5. Basically, I need both teams to win. Their original lines, which you can sort of see, I know it's a little small, but their original lines are both -6.5. So we get to bring both of those down at a reduced price for us to -0.5 and hope for the best. So essentially, it's a play for both of these teams to win. Utah, it's interesting. Cam Rising, he tore his ACL last season. He's questionable for this game. Richie, I know we'll hit on this soon. I know you disagree a little bit, but I think that their backups are more than capable to be able to do the job and fill in for Cam Rising if he's not there. I also think if he was for sure, this line would be closer to 10 points or so. So I think we're getting some value with it being at 6.5. In addition, Florida had Anthony Richardson last season. They're now transitioning to Graham Mertz, coming from Wisconsin. He is not the same kind of quarterback at all. I think it's going to take a bit of time for them to be able to get that offense in a shape for a completely different kind of quarterback. And Utah's big strength this year is their defense. So I like them to win. And then Rutgers, for you, Richie, I'm going to take them over Northwestern. Just get the job done against a Northwestern team that is struggling. We don't need to go into all that they've dealt with this offseason, but I think Rutgers can pick up one of probably their only wins this season. So I have both of those teams to win, and that's my last play.
Good stuff, CT. Let's get on to the rest of the picks this week, huh? And bring in our guest picker for the week, which will be a frequent occurrence, I guess is how you say it, with a guest picker. But go ahead, CT. You take it away here.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, first of all, we all agree, whether we're homers or not, but we all agree that Liberty is going to take care of business. So that's good to see. Hopefully, we don't jinx anything. But I trust the boys to be able to get the job done. Any thoughts there before we move on?
I saw it's moving 9.5 to 10, kind of back and forth. But Sam, you're in Kentucky and you guys just got legal sports betting. So this is your Christmas. You're ready to roll.
Right up my alley. If I was confident in any of these picks, I might be going. But here's the thing that scares me about the Liberty pick is that we ended the season with a loss to Toledo, and we all remember it well last year. And Toledo ended up losing as well to a team that we're familiar with in Bowling Green. So should be an interesting one. I think it's going to be a whole lot closer to 10 points than I think I would love for it to be. What are your all's thoughts?
No, I agree with that. I think, if this line was closer to 14 or more, I would probably be on the other side of it. But 10 at home, especially if it gets down to 9.5, which I think I saw it some there today, I feel a little bit more comfortable.
I can't be that guy going bananas in a cabana when Bowling Green scores a late touchdown at the back door. Like I can't go to the game and bet on Bowling Green. Like
No, I'm not saying to bet on Bowling Green.
it's strictly
It gives me the feel
emotional.
of the 2020 Western Kentucky game. That's what I'm feeling the same way I do right now as I did right then. No clue what's going on at quarterback. Who's this Malik Willis guy? What's going to happen? And we didn't even know who was going to start. And so that's how I feel right now. And if you remember, we squeaked that game out barely and then go on to have an almost perfect season. So
no doubt.
Speaking of WKU, Sam, what's your thoughts on that pick? You got them covering the 11.5 against USF, which is a marquee game in Conference USA this week.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I live in Kentucky now. I spent 7 years in Lynchburg at Liberty, but I moved back to Kentucky where I'm from. I live in Louisville and had to pick the Western Kentucky boys. Also, because I want an undefeated Liberty going into an undefeated Western Kentucky at the end. So it was a biased pick. I think they're going to play well. And I don't know much about them. If they play like they have in years past, I think they pull it out.
Yeah, their offense is very similar. So it's a new quarterback. It's not Bailey Zappi. But Austin Reed is the quarterback. He was the quarterback last year as well. And that offense just runs the exact same. So they put up points, they put up lots of points, and they put them up fast. So USF, they're still growing as a program. So I agree with Sam. I definitely like Western Kentucky here.
And did you see the graphic that USF put out of a bull about to just obliterate Big Red into oblivion?
No, I didn't see that.
Genuinely funny. Genuinely funny.
And I'm sure Big Red's taking that personal.
Yes. Like that, you want to talk about bulletin board material? There's no way that's not how, like, I almost want to change my pick to Western Kentucky after seeing what they did to poor Big Red.
I mean, if NC State thought that we're stepping on their logo the other year and took that personally, then who knows what Western Kentucky's going to feel like. Moving on to Sam Houston, their first FBS game against BYU, a team that we saw last year. John, lead us off there. What do you think?
Well, I'm the only one that went with BYU and the Cougars. I mean, this was a toss-up for me. I kind of just flipped a coin which way you're going to go. I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of Sam Houston. I think they have a chance to be good, kind of a sleeper team like Jacksonville State, in my opinion, in Conference USA. But, week one going up against a now Big 12 team in BYU, I think BYU really wants to make a statement coming out of the gates, and I'm going with them to cover and win by 3 touchdowns or more. But it's not a strong play or not. That was just kind of flip of the coin for me personally.
Richard, you're on the other side.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Conference USA. I'm not one of those people that are like, I'm going to root against our conference rivals when they're – no. I hope they win. It'd be a great win for the conference. To have Sam Houston State come in and beat a Big 12 team, massive for the entire conference. So I'm rooting Sam Houston State. BYU, pathetic last year. And I think Sam Houston State, we talked about it last year, they redshirted a bunch of guys for this season. And then, you're going to have an experienced team that's ready to roll week one.
Yeah, I was just about to say that they redshirted multiple guys from some of their championship teams to be able to come up to this level. And if anything, we saw that BYU's defense was pretty terrible last year.
Mm-hmm.
So at least for me, I'm hoping that points can be scored on both sides. Sam, for you, what would you say is a couple of your favorite plays through this slate?
I mean, so far, I really like the Florida coming up next versus Utah. I think that anytime you have a great Netflix documentary dropped about you a week ago, that the boys are going to be fired up. They got Urban Meyer, they got Tim Tebow, they got Spikes hyping them up. They probably all watched the documentary. You got to take Florida to win by touchdown.
Richie, what about USA on the money line? What's your thought there?
I think it's a little bit of a Tulane hangover. USA is a really good team. That coach, Kane Womack, right?
Yeah.
Excellent coach.
He was a finalist for the Liberty job.
That was a name that was floating around. They're going to be good this year. They're a team I think they can win, that is going to be in the mix to win their conference. And if Vegas thinks this game is going to be within a touchdown, and I'm going to get plus 205 money line, I'll take those odds every day.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I was too scared to take the money line. I just wanted to be able to have the points on my side as well. But they return basically their whole team outside of a couple of guys in the secondary. And they're one of the top teams in the country in terms of returning experience and the transfers that they bring in. So I actually think, along with you saying Tulane falling back a little bit, but I think outside of, if we're excluding Liberty, I think South Alabama could be the team from Group of Five that's in a New Year's Six Bowl.
You guys are sleeping on my guy Shadro Lewis at Tulane. He's going to single-handedly cover that 6.5 point line for me. Sam, what do you think about the UCLA Coastal line? I see all three of you guys went 14.5, taking UCLA laying the points, and I was scared to touch the line, but what were your thoughts there? Just, you don't like the beach chickens. You have to go with the Bruins.
I'm just 100% biased. We have Jamie Caldwell on our side, and we will not be defeated now, and they have nothing left. And so I do know his name's Chadwell. But that pick, also the pick I really do like, the second pick I like the most is the LSU Florida pick, under 58. Nobody else took that. But anytime you get two teams that are both top 5 or top 10 teams, it's like baseball. Beginning of the season, you're getting all your kinks worked out on offense before you're getting them worked out on defense. I think defense is going to hold strong. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game at halftime, and then it's going to get up closer into the 50s, but I don't think it'll get to 58.
That is the marquee.
I know Jamie Caldwell, coming from Carolina, is going to do a great job.
There it is. It is the marquee game of the week. Monday night, too.
Yeah,
that's
going
to be awesome. Like, I'm not, a little Labor Day. You just get in off the beach, sandy, or you want to check it out. But it's going to be a great game. CT, anything else we want to touch base on with our slate for the week?
Yeah, I'll just probably hit on my favorite one out of this slate, and it's the over in South Carolina, North Carolina. So I know John and Sam are on the opposite side, but that game is actually played here in Charlotte. On Saturday. College game day is going to be here, and I think it's going to be electric. So Drake May, of course, is leading the Tar Heels. They had no defense last year, and they didn't do anything to improve it, in my opinion. So I think you should expect a lot of points from their offense, but then Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks, I think they can take advantage of that defense. We saw App State put up, over 50 points against them last year, and I think we could see another game that's probably like in the 80s or above.
Yeah, and he looks like Cynthia from Rugrats, too. If you ever just look up Spencer Rattler, Cynthia from Rugrats, for those who know what I'm talking about, he's a dead ringer for the doll.
Hey, Sam, have you gotten a chance to kind of track Liberty a lot during the offseason, during the coaching change, or roster turnover? And if so, what are your thoughts on the Flames going into 2023?
Thanks for asking. I have kept up pretty heavily on Twitter. As you know, I enjoy keeping up on the Bird, or the X, I guess, Richie, you have to call it now. But I'm excited, and I'm excited to see the quarterback room. I'm excited to see who steps up there. I'm also excited to see, if things don't go as well there with the first pick Coach Chadwell has, how soon he turns over to the second pick at quarterback. And just excited to see how that all plays out. Excited to see, like we've said before in this podcast, the running back room. Not sure really who's going to step up there, but excited to see whoever does step up. Hopefully the carries can get split up. And as we get game 5, game 6, game 7, guys get a little bit more beat up. Hopefully everybody has a lot of reps, and excited to see CJ Daniels back. He's had obviously gone through some ups and downs, but excited to see him back on the field, and hopefully to be that wide receiver 1, in my opinion. So
awesome. Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
As our guest picker. CT, I'm feeling positive. I love a ton of your plays this week. I was thinking, oh, he's right. That's a really good idea. So bounce back week incoming for sure. So again, everyone who's checking us out, whether it's live, you're checking us out later on at YouTube or on the Bird, make sure you follow us, subscribe, do your thing. Manson, any final words, any final thoughts?
Man, I'm excited for it, and looking forward. It's game week, right? Let's get it. Just got a couple more days, and get to see you, Richie. Looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. Busy day Saturday. But ultimately, Flames come out victorious. Like I said earlier, I'll be a happy man. I know you'll be a happy man, especially if that 9.5 or 10, whatever you end up getting at, hits. And let's have a great week.
Yeah, can't wait. Again, thank you for everyone for joining us and getting a chance to chat about our favorite college football team. So as always, stay blessed, stay hydrated, and stay fly. We'll see you next time.